Hello everyone. So today we have top 5 US student visa interview questions that will be answered by Mr. Sanjay Kaushik.
Thank you so much. I guess it's a good initiative because of the uncertainty about the visa appointments. What are the possible questions? What is the social media vetting? I think it's a good initiative that we are coming out with this kind of video information so that students' anxieties would get relaxed. Thanks.
So are you preparing for your US student visa interview? Nervous about what the visa officer might ask? So in this video, Mr. Sanjay Kaushik question answering the top 5 questions that can make or break your visa interview in 2025. So why did you choose this university and course?
So this is one of the most common questions that each student might encounter when they go in for the visa interview. So my take on that is that when a student is actually looking to go and study abroad, they should first look at their career, and based on their career objectives, they should then start looking for the particular program that they want to enroll for. What is the course content? What is the curriculum? How would that actually help them achieve their career objective? So if you understand your end goal and then start looking at the universities, the choice of universities, the shortlisting of universities, and then when you go in for a visa interview, the answer to this question will become very simple. When the officer says, why do you want to go and study in America? Your answer should be based on your career objectives. So I want to be a data analyst. And in order to be a data analyst, I want to study in America. And I've chosen this particular university because the kind of program which is available there includes data analysis, data architecture, data science, and then, of course, there are a lot of electives that would really help me. So try and base your answer very holistically, not a very too long an answer, but an answer that should be absolutely crisp, that focuses not only your requirement to go and study in America, but also your career goals. I think that would be the best way to answer a question. Yeah, do you have any other questions?
Okay, so who is sponsoring your education and how will they fund it? Money matters. Students often hear this. Who is sponsoring your education and how will they fund it? So what's the right approach?
So there's a lot of confusion that goes into it. I've been reading a lot of posts on internet, on Quora, and also on the Reddit and all of the social media. So we have to differentiate between the availability of funds and what is the visa law. The law says very clearly that when a person is applying for a visa, must show their strong ties to the home country. So when I say strong ties, that entails the social ties, the financial ties, and of course your professional goals. So when you're talking about how will you fund yourself, this question can be answered in two parts. First, show your social ties that my parents are going to fund me, right? Because you have to show strong ties to the home country. And then talk about their annual income, talk about their savings, investments, the properties, the assets that you own. And then if you've taken an education loan, then you can include the education loan as well. Because there's a difference between the availability and, of course, the financial ties to your home country. So make sure that you include all of that. And lot of time that I've also heard that if required, we can sell off the assets to contribute to my education in America. So you're contradicting yourself. On one side, you're saying that I've got strong ties by showing that I've got assets here. And on the other side, you're saying that I'm going to dilute or I'm going to sell those assets. So that's not a good idea of answering that question. And never start your answer by saying that I've taken an education loan. Because every human, every interaction is subjective. What you say and what the officer could understand could be two different things. So when you start saying that I have an education loan, the officer may believe that you don't have financial ties to your home country. You can include your financial ties by saying my parents are going to fund me through of course their savings, investments, properties, and the education loan. That's the right way and the right format to answer the question.
Sir, what about this one? Do you have any relatives in US? Students get scared answering this. So what would be your advice?
Well, having a relative in the US has no negative impact, or in fact, no impact at all, unless you have a very close relative. When we talk about relatives, in the sense, they're talking about your immediate relative, which could be your parents, right? Your siblings, your spouse, or your kids, right? Anyone outside that, if you have an uncle in the US, if you have an aunt, if you have a distant relative, that essentially makes no difference. I would say that, whoever is there, you must mention that on your DS 160 because it's very important to be absolutely truthful on your visa application form. And once you mention that, you need to know on what visa they went, what are they currently doing, and make sure that you're not choosing a university which is closer to their house. That would then dilute your intentions of going and studying over there. Because you want to go and study in the US, then you would look at the course content, the curriculum, the professors, the teaching methodologies, and all of that. Not that because you have a relative there. So if you say that you have a relative in the US and if you've chosen a university because your relative suggested you, that's a wrong answer. However, to answer the question, if you have relatives in the US, to answer that on your DS-16 is absolutely essential. That does not have any negative impact on your application.
So we have one of the most decisive questions. What are your plans after graduation? How should a student tackle this?
Oh, it's very simple. My first example that I gave, when a student is actually looking to go and study abroad, so they should look at the end goals first. What are their career objectives? What are the kind of companies they want to come back and work for? What are the skill sets that are missing, that you believe are gaps in your own profile? If you understand that, then you can pivot the entire visa interview around that. Because the most important thing is education, the skills that you acquire, and how are you going to use those skills in leveraging your career eventually. So what are your future plans would entail the answer that tells the officer that you have career goals in India. So not directly, but indirectly, if you show them there is a situation and you understand those gaps and you want to get that kind of education to bridge those gaps, that really tells the officer you've got reasons to come back, because you've really thought it through and you understand where your career is going and how will this education help you bridge that gap and come back. So you do not have to start stressing on emphasizing that I'll come back to my home country, but then give those examples that what you can do with this education once you're back home.
Here is a one that throws off first time travelers. Have you traveled abroad before? Is it a problem if they haven't?
Not at all, because that this particular question is targeted towards anyone who's applying for a visitor's visa primarily. A student not necessarily have to travel abroad. If you've traveled, that's very good. It also depends on what was your purpose at that point of time, how long did you stay, where did you go, and all that kind of stuff. But if you've not traveled, it does not deter in terms of getting you a student visa. So it is not an issue at all.
So, what's your final piece of advice to students preparing for their F1 visa interviews?
Looking at the current situation, I'm sure that not most, but all the students are kind of stressed out that what's happening with the US Embassy, with the new social media vetting that has come out and no dates available. So the first thing they need to do is, there are certain things which are in your control and there are certain things that are beyond your control. So this situation currently is beyond everyone's control. So for that, you just don't need to stress. Take it easy. Keep looking at the visa appointments portal, and I'm sure the announcement came sometime on the May 27th, and we are already towards the end of June. I'm also very sure that the lot of universities in America, a lot of congressmen, a lot of senators, a lot of students are also writing to their respective embassies and of course to the government to start releasing the appointments. And I'm sure probably by end of June or beginning of July, there'll be a lot of dates available. And so the first thing is stay calm, keep looking at the visa appointment portal. I'm sure the dates would be available. In the meantime, start looking at what are your career goals, what are your career objectives, right? Start working on the choice of university, figure out the content of the program, look at where the industries are going, and at the same time, be sure that you're not posting anything which is derogatory, which is against the sentiment of the US. I'm sure that most of the students are not hardliners. They are just posting things which are for fun. Make sure that you don't start sweeping out all your social media and deleting all your social media posts. That's not a good idea. Having no digital footprint is also a matter of concern for the embassies. If you've never had a social media, that's okay. But if you've had any, you must mention that and don't start deleting all those posts. Take it easy. I'm sure we all are going to, pass through this and you all are going to have a very successful career. Thank you.
That was incredibly helpful. Thank you, Sanjay sir, for your insights.
Thank you.